I'm actually roosting in a spot that I don't normally do, but the bird that I want to hunt is currently exactly where I want him, according to cell cams. Jake and a longbeard. I could hear the longbeard spitting and strutting in, and then caught a glimpse of him to my right, but then another bird to my left, so I wasn't sure what to do. I didn't want to accidentally shoot a Jake, so I couldn't take that shot. That was my... All right, guys.
Welcome to the Deer Shot Podcast, presented by Siman Brothers Outdoors and the Leaky John Boat Company.
Yeah. He went and watched a movie that has a $200 million production budget, and then the next thing he watched was our video on YouTube that has a $0 production budget.
This is the first buck I've shot in over 10 years.
Your track job was the first fun track job. That kind of like, I think part of my life was influenced by that night.
Then you miss him 3 times with a rifle at 70 yards on video for the whole world to see.
Yeah, that's what Caleb did. 5 years ago, we couldn't shoot a deer at 100 yards with a slug gun. Now you're shooting turkeys at 100 yards with a shotgun.
Joey takes the shop is closing up.
Make sure he takes all his right antlers. You can't leave it. All right, guys. Deer Shot Podcast, episode 94. It is May 8th. You're probably getting this video. This will be airing May 12th. Dreary, cold, overcast, rainy, Northeast Ohio
Shitty,
day.
cold day. It's supposed to be May.
Cold day.
Gonna do stuff outside, plant food plots, all this crap, plant some corn. Not happening.
Yeah. So Isaac is gonna plant corn for us this year. He's got how many acres are you gonna do?
Probably gonna end up planting like 1.5 acres to 2 acres of corn.
I have a question about your lot. I drive by your lot every day when I'm driving, look around for turkeys because I can hunt a farm not far from there, so I always drive by. Is your lot everything that's mowed, or does it go farther down?
Everything that's mowed.
Okay, because I saw a stake farther down. It doesn't look like 5 acres.
Those are the other lots.
Yeah.
Well, it's an optical illusion. The lot is shaped like... The lot is square, but what you can see is shaped like this because all this woods is also mine.
Oh, you do own some woods? But there's not a lot.
All the way up to the other person's driveway next to me.
Yeah.
So it's an optical illusion. It's like 150 foot wide of opening in the front. But when you get to the back, it's 300 foot wide. So like the back is way bigger than the front.
And the road's not straight east and west either. The road is
also confusing.
Yeah, confusing.
Optical illusion.
I'm sure no one cares about that, but
no.
Yeah, well,
but I'm going to plant 2 acres of corn.
Yeah, I want
if it ever dries up.
Yeah, holy shit. I did a bunch. We're kind of going to talk about it later. I actually went and did some work on my house today, which never happens during hunting season, but I needed to do it.
It's never dry enough during hunting
season.
Yeah,
plus I live in a swamp. If anyone knows me and knows where I live, it is a goddamn swamp.
Caleb's house is 6 feet under where the road
I'm
is.
below sea level. I'm not kidding. You drive by when it's raining out, and I have a moat.
Yeah.
I want to we're making a big expansion on our one food plot. It's going to be kind of a little bit of a project, and it's going to be cool. And I can't do nothing with the way it is right now. The next time it gets dry for a few days, I'm going to spray it. We need to spray it.
So we're going to spray a funnel shape?
Yeah. We can decide how big we want to make it.
I feel like
I guess the purpose would be to not make it too big.
The water hole area doesn't need to be any wider than this room.
No, that's why I said I want it 20 feet.
Funnel shaped almost.
20 feet of waterfront. Like
Maybe
I might bring the screening down to the edge of the cattails and then only cut 20-foot section of cattails out for the deer to drink on.
We got to spray them and cut them.
Yeah, you're in charge of the cattail.
So the grass, do we even
rest.
need to spray all the grass and kill all the grass, or can we just leave it grass
Well, don't we want to?
that leads up to the water?
I'm gonna leave. I'm not
It
gonna.
doesn't really matter if it's clover. Like they're just gonna be using that to walk. I don't think they're gonna be eating there.
I'm gonna make some of it food plot, but I'm not gonna till all the way down to the edge because then it would create runoff and mud and all that. So
Yeah, that's
I'm
what
gonna leave a section of grass
Okay.
along where the deer enter. I mean, eventually we want to put sand in, right?
Something to make, even if it's just short grass all the way to the water.
Lindsay's been bothering me about making a beach at the lake again. For the
For the child.
maybe we could, if we want to, where we should put a beach, kind of where we used to have it, but in that wet bend there where all the muck and
The
debris
runoff
goes.
goes?
If
Yeah.
we could make that a sand bottom eventually and kind of irrigate that area.
Well, if anybody's listening, obviously there's people listening, but this is going to lead into a series on how we're trying to make a farm pond be useful to hunting.
Yeah,
A lot of people have properties with farm ponds,
Yeah.
and they're just kind of there like, oh, the deer can drink out of it, but that's all they do. We have a farm pond on one of our properties that is no longer utilized recreationally.
Yeah.
Recreationally.
Right.
So we want to be able to utilize it for deer hunting. So we're going to try to show that in a video how we're doing it and then see if it works.
Yeah, we're going to use screening and food plot strategy to make it so while they're eating in our food plot, they can go down and
Basically
drink from the pond
a beach
within bow range.
A beach for the deer within bow range of us. So we'll be hunting on a food plot on a soybean or cornfield this year. I don't know.
Soybeans.
It might be corn again.
They're not going to do double.
You have
corn.
to ask the farmer
I mean, I
because of cost of crops. and
yeah. I
stuff.
mean, if it's corn again, that's fine for that one. But
So regardless, we'll have a
Yeah.
food plot, we'll have a crop field, a pond, and we're trying to integrate them all together to make it a deer hunting mecca.
and it's too wet to do any of the shit we want to on that.
Yeah. But it is only the beginning to it's still the beginning of May, so we have time. Nobody's planting fields yet.
No, the screening doesn't need to get until June 1st. So we got plenty of time.
I just wanted to get my corn planted as early as possible so we
Because
can
June 1st is the date for that too, right? I guess you're not harvesting it for sale, so it doesn't.
We're going to be
matter.
harvesting it to use for the deer, kind of just as an experiment.
Yeah.
I bought a giant field, so
Yeah.
I want to be able to use it for more than just mowing grass.
Yeah. You can put a little food plot in the back behind it.
I think I'm just going to plant it all corn and maybe mow a section of it.
Yeah, 'cause you could you could very easily leave a green section along.
They'll
that
at
back.
least be 20 feet from the woods to the corn.
Yeah, don't you have oats planted in that?
Yeah. Because I'm not going to plant all the way to the woods because it won't grow. So I'll leave a little section.
Yeah.
And I'll probably have a section to mow that I can hunt over.
Yeah.
Then have corn.
Because there was some good deer using it at night.
Big 8-pointer.
At night in the 10. It was a 10, like the long. Yeah.
And then the buck that Kendall shot as well was
Yeah.
also there.
Yeah, there was a lot of deer there at your property. But
So we'll see.
before we get into the meat and potatoes of this podcast, I want to give a quick shout out. You see this car here on
57 Chevy.
Yeah. Get a little shout out to our neighbor Chuck. He's been living here next to the deer shop since 1991, right?
That's what he said today, yeah.
He's always got just an interesting story to tell.
He's been telling us fables of deer stories since we were little kids.
Yeah, all kinds of different stuff. He was good. He was really good to our grandparents when they lived here, so we've always really enjoyed that. He said he caught a Johnson salamander in a mousetrap.
Yeah, that was his story today.
If you're an old time Ohio guy, I guess you would know what that means. But yeah, so a little quick shout out there to Chuck. Man, the podcast topic today, and it kind of all ties in at the end, but we're going to talk about my personal turkey season struggles this year. It seems like since the podcast has been around, it seems like I'm always doing a struggle podcast and never really a success.
That's kind of our
podcast.
identity
As
at
of
this
late.
point. Yeah.
As of late. It's just the way things are lately.
bad.
But my turkey season has been interesting and fun. I got some good stories for it. And then we're going to talk after that about how it doesn't even really matter when it comes to turkey season and what we're doing in videos and all that. But I guess I'll start by, we already did talk a little bit about my season when I had Dylan and Ethan on talking about their opening day success when they both shot gobblers. If you listen to that podcast, you heard at the end that I set up in my usual opening day spot because I had I knew a gobbler was roosted close by. I got trail camera videos of him an hour before fly up in the middle of our farm, so I knew he was going to be close. So I went to my favorite spot on the farm for hunting turkeys, and it is a great spot. And it was a little bit. It wasn't raining per se, but it was a day like today, so
It was crappy.
Yeah, I was in a blind. The weather was kind of crappy. The birds weren't hammering off the roost. It was a little bit windy. It took a little bit for the morning to lighten up, but then I thought I had heard a neighbor walking in, and after it started to get light out, I could hear some calling, so I knew that there was a guy hunting on the neighbor's property. And then when it finally got light enough to see, I was in an elevated blind, I was able to see the neighbor against a tree. After the birds worked in and worked around him and went down away from him, they snuck over to the edge, ended up shooting the bird. I got to watch all that go down. And since that happened, there hasn't been a gobbler back on the farm. Mm-hmm. I know if you've watched our videos or listened to our podcast, you've heard us talk about stuff like this. Once the 1 or 2 birds that are here get killed, that's it. Nothing moves in the rest of the season.
Maybe something will move in late, or it'll be June and they'll be in there.
Yeah, there was. I was watching an old video of 2023. I believe it was the other day. I had it on the background. I was cooking food for Blair or something, and at the end of the video, a gobbler did show up on our farm, like at the last couple of days of the season, and was coming through in the evening. And me and you did set up on him, but he was roosted kind of far off, and we weren't able to kill him. But so I guess it's not totally out of the realm of possibility for a bird to show up, but more often than not,
it's kind of been the story of our last 5-6 seasons. The gobbler ratio is just super low.
It's just down. We talked about in the last podcast when Drake was in here with Danny, how I thought the numbers were down. I found the harvest data, and the harvest data is down about 15 to 20% from what it was, say 4, 5, 6 years ago. Now that was back when you could shoot 2 birds as well, but the numbers went way down and have started to climb back up. So the turkey hunting is getting better, and the numbers are getting better. And I don't have the specifics in front of me right now, but they are getting better, but they're not at they're not at the peaks of where they were.
And I think it's just our specific bubble as well. Just like mature bucks, there's not enough gobblers to go around. We know of 4, 5, 6 people that are hunting in our little block here.
This bird,
and there's one gobbler to go around left.
The rest of my stories here are all going to be about one particular bird that I've been hunting, and I know for a fact that there was or is 1, 2, 3, 4, including me, 5 technically if you include Luke if he goes out there, 6. At least 6, 7. There's at least 7 guys hunting that one bird. Eight.
And he seems to have, from where we've seen him from the trucks, where we've heard him, where we got pictures of him, a home range of 1,000 acres maybe?
I'd say less.
Less than 1,000 acres?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's living.
I mean, he's moving all.
I think he's living. I'd say 300-400 acres.
300-400 acres. He's staying in that little circle, and he's the only gobbler around.
He's got a Jake with him, and he's got 8 guys there's 8 people that I know about that are hunting or have been trying to hunt this particular bird. Mm-hmm. So think about that. 8 guys to every one gobbler.
And I know there's going to be a lot of people listening, and a lot of our friends do this. They just say, go hunt somewhere else. Yeah, well, that's not really how we operate. We like to hunt close to home.
Right. We have our specific farms that we've been working on managing, that we've hunted for years. We have gotten a few other turkey hunting permission pieces, but there's no birds there either, for one.
Yeah.
And for two, it's harder and harder unless you're willing to cast your net and drive 45 minutes in the morning to your spot, which I'm just not willing to do at this moment. So we could go get some more spots.
Yeah, if anybody knows us, we like to have our fun close to home.
We're stubborn.
Yeah, super stubborn.
But
same thing when it comes to deer hunting.
Yeah, of course. But anyways, so this gobbler that we're talking about, he's on the farm where Ethan killed his bird. So opening day, Ethan and Luke went out, called in a bird from half a mile away, blasted him. You've seen that video. All fun, all good. This bird is on that same farm. I was in there about 10 days ago in this farm because when I've been hunting it in the mornings, and he's roosting 300-400 yards away on another property, and he gobbles pretty good, and then he flies down and goes the other and follows the hens the opposite way off the roost. So I'd been in there. I went in there hunting him on the roost a few times, and it just wasn't happening. So I started I started to spend more time there around, 8, 9, 10 o'clock. I went in there one afternoon. I literally just parked my truck on the road. I went in there about 10 o'clock to actually set up a trail camera we're thinking it might be some type of grouse type critter or some kind of bird that's been in there in the mornings that I can hear behind the blind making all this racket and like basically, I don't want to say drumming on logs, but hanging out on these fallen down logs. So I went in there to set up a camera specifically to get pictures and videos of whatever this bird is.
It's got to be some sort of grouse, right?
Yeah, some kind. Maybe I don't know what it is. There's some kind of critter in there making noises that we hadn't heard in this.
Which is not normal for around here.
Yeah, it's something different. So I set up a camera for it. Haven't checked it yet, so I don't even know if he's on there. But I had my shotgun. I had a green, like Under Armour type long sleeve shirt that you can get from theleakyjombo.com, and I wasn't even wearing camo pants. Maybe I was wearing camo pants.
Did you have your turkey vest?
No vest.
Oh, my.
I had my bino harness, and I had a face mask that was in my bino harness. No gloves, and just a regular hat and one mouth call. So I go in there specifically just to hang this camera up, but I brought the gun just in case because you just never know. But I was not set up for an all-day turkey hunt. I got in there and did some calling on the edge. This property is pretty easy to explain. Big, large, giant field, small block of woods with a finger that follows a creek line. So I had to cross this very large field, 100, it's 100 acres or so, maybe more.
Probably more.
To get to this small woodlot. Get to the edge of the woodlot. Rup, 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 rup. Rup, 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 rup. Nothing. Set my camera up on the log I want. Turn around, go to walk out. My truck is parked on the side of the road in the open field. Bird gobbles at like 70 yards.
On your side.
Right. Yeah, right.
Where he hasn't been hanging out.
Yeah, where he hasn't really been hanging out much. Gobbles. So I'm like, oh, shit. I cut the distance to about 50 because and to explain this property, it's the section of woods, the block of timber that I'm hunting is completely flat. And the middle part was logged a while ago, had a tornado come through. There's only one super mature tree left. Everything else just grew up incredibly thick. So it's multiflora rose. What are those other bushes with the little like white flowers and basically like small willow tree type, whatever they are.
Just
thicker than snot. You cannot see 15 yards. So I was able to use that to my advantage. He was inside that kind of stuff. Picked out a good tree, cut the distance to about 50, sat down. I have and that's another part I forgot to mention. I have just a GoPro clipped to my gun. Did not bring my main camera. And I'm like, oh boy. Turn the GoPro on, facing down the barrel. And I'm all proned up against this tree, trying to use the shadow to my advantage. Just wearing a green shirt and bino harness and a hat. So I'm not camouflaged well. Do a little bit of calling. Rup, 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 rup. Bird gobbles at like 30. Like he's in range, but behind this thick stuff already. So I'm trying my very hardest just without, I always think about this, your hat brim, when you're moving your head around, looking around, your hat brim is moving too. And it's got that length to it. So I'm trying very hard to just move my eyes only and not, my head around. And I catch movement to my right. So I slowly move the gun about 6 inches to my right. And I see a redhead and then I see another redhead. And they're both bobbing back and forth at about 25 yards, looking directly at where I'm sitting.
You say they're doing the bad.
Yeah,
bob,
they came in
the cluck and bob.
Yeah, they had already sounded their alarm putt. They already heard a cluck. So I'm like, oh boy, and they're looking right where I'm at because they knew where I called from and they expecting to see a hen there because they're and. Side note, again, there was a hen that had been hanging out around my blind for this week that I've been hunting there. This hen, I have beautiful video, sunshine on this hen, 10 yards away from my blind, perfect 4K, blah, blah, blah. So they know that there's a hen in this area, and they think I'm her. And they're both looking, but at this point, all I can see is red heads. So I'm like, it's either, and I didn't know it was a gobbler and a jake at this point. So I'm like, oh, shit.
Could
like,
be two jakes, could be
two jakes, could be some joms that sound good, could be two gobblers. I thought it was going to be two gobblers based on the intel I've been getting from the roosting hunt I've been doing where they gobble and go down the other way. There's been two birds, so I figured they're both gobblers. So I didn't feel comfortable taking that shot, not knowing I couldn't see beards. So they start to head, which would be west, do like a half moon around me, and they go back out to about 40, staying in the thick. And I think my hunt's pretty fucked at this point. But once again, boom, hammering, and they're circling me. But I could tell that he was hammering facing me and is coming towards me. Then I can start hearing the spit. You know, you hear the spit, no drum, because I don't believe in you can hear drumming. I'm not saying turkeys don't drum. I just don't think you can hear it. But they're spitting, strutting. I can hear them. And then I see to my left now, so I had to swing the gun again about 20 inches left. It's a pretty good swing. And the whole time my GoPro is recording this. So I do have this part on video on my GoPro. The Jake, which I find out at this moment, it's a Jake and a gobbler. The Jake runs to my left, stops in an opening at 30 yards and stares at me. The gobbler was chasing him. So the gobbler was in a half strut trying to push him off. When the Jake stops to stare at me, the gobbler's behind a tree. They're only at 25, 30 yards. I can see the Jake clear as day, but the gobbler's behind a tree. The Jake stares at me for about 5 minutes without moving. Then he takes off and he just doesn't take off. He just continues walking the path he was on because I hadn't moved. At this point, I can see the gobbler strutting behind. He had worked directly away using the tree as a barrier. I can see him back there like 70, 80 yards strutting around. So I start calling him again, and he works his way back in, but stays inside the thick stuff and never offers me a shot. And then he probably worked in about 40, and then he went back out to like 70. He's just sitting there gobbling. And I think the Jake and the gobbler are separated at this time, so I'm pretty excited. And I know that the Jake probably had seen me, so I was hoping he was boogieing out and was gone, and it was just going to be the gobbler. It wouldn't
be your problem anymore.
So I do the classic walk. I do the classic walk back. I get up and I walk farther away from the gobbler, so I'm at like maybe 100 yards from him. And I do a really loud calling sequence, and then I choke up about 20 yards again. So I'm farther back than what I was, but a little bit closer than where I called from.
Mm-hmm. So he thinks maybe you're a little.
Yeah, so he thinks I'm hoping he's thinking I'm walking away towards the field. I'm heading out towards the field where I actually have a decoy in the field at this point that's been there for a week in the same spot. So I'm hoping he comes out that way. It goes silent for a while, probably 20, 30 minutes, and then he gobbles. He had worked west, he was spinning half moon around me. If you picture me where I originally was seating, I just keep moving left and left and left and spinning. This bird's doing a half moon. He's at probably 50, and I can when the sun keeps going in and out of clouds. It's a beautiful sunny day, but when the clouds would come on, it would go all shadows, and the clouds would leave. You go back to pure sunlight, and I can see like a red head at like 50, 60 yards. And he's out there strutting, gobbling every once in a while. So I call a little bit more aggressively for a while, and he closes the gap to about 30, but he's in just really thick, high stem count, like willow tree type, honeysuckle bush type shit. Mm-hmm. So there's no way I could get a clear shot. At this point, my GoPro battery is completely toasted and down to about 10%. So now I have the GoPro off with my hand resting on top of my gun barrels to click the GoPro on and then quickly shoot if he ever offers me a shot. He plays the back and forth game at this spot for at least 25, 30 minutes. He'd get into like 30 or 40 yards and he'd go back out to 80. Then he'd come back into 30 or 40 yards and go back out to 80. Never giving me a great shot. I did another move farther when he kind of went into the thick stuff again. I did another sneak back, moved about 40 yards farther away from him.
Closer to try to entice him a little bit.
Again. Yeah, I want to move my spot. And then I get set up. I do a call sequence. He gobbles, and then I get ready. After about 10 minutes, I catch movement to my right. So he had been continuously moving farther and farther left. I catch which would be southwest, if you want a direction. I catch movement to my northeast. So I kind of spin, lock in. There's movement in the thick stuff, and it's coming quick. I can see movement coming quick. I'm excited. Click on my GoPro. It steps out to about 40 yards. It's a fucking deer. It's like a 3-year-old buck with decent bases. Nothing huge, but it's a fucking deer.
And it's the worst thing to see while you're turkey.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there looking at this buck, and he's looking in my direction and then looking away. I'm pretty sure he's getting my wind a little bit. I'm watching this buck. And I'm thinking, God, am I an idiot? This gobbler definitely saw me move or whatever, and now I got this deer walking in like I'm fucked. And that's when I hear, and I glance over my left shoulder real quick, and he's at 30 yards strutting in the open, but I'm facing the completely wrong direction, staring at this stupid deer. So I had to wait until he goes out of strut and walks away again, backed out to about 60, and I move back into my spot facing him.
Did you ever think about just doing the old swing and shoot? A lot of people do that.
No, not with all the stuff that's been in social media lately about people getting shot and
yada yada yada.
I'm trying to get it on video, so I'm not shooting this bird unless it's on video. My camera is just about dead at this point. And
that would be about a worthless video.
Yeah, it would go against everything I've been preaching about all spring. I want to kill a gobbler in the good right way after calling him in on video, because otherwise we don't have that many birds and turkey's cheap at the grocery store.
Yeah.
So he's at 60 again, and I'm positioned. But now I got to keep an eye on my right, because this buck definitely has seen me move and definitely is smelling me, and he keeps coming closer and closer and stomping. He hasn't blown yet, but he's coming closer and closer and stomping. And I watch this gobbler off to my left now between 40 and 60 for like 45 minutes probably. The buck eventually works over to where the gobbler is, and they're kind of feeding together at like 60 yards. It would have been beautiful if I had my actual camera with me, but I didn't. So they're feeding together. The buck eventually works off into the thicker stuff. The gobbler disappears. I relax up a little bit. I'm trying to get my details correct because there was so much that happened in that hunt. I believe at this point I notice I'm sitting there like relaxed up, gun across my lap. This whole situation has already been going on for about 2 hours, and I notice movement to my farther left even more out towards the field, and I see a red head at like 60, and it's periscoping me, like looking at me, probably has me busted.
He's probably had you pinned for the last 3 hours.
And I'm not wearing good camo and a face. I have a face mask, but no gloves. I got these big white hands just out there, and it's a mess. I start calling at him. He gobbles, and he's working back and forth. And then eventually he heads back to the north and, moves off to about 150, maybe even farther away. And I'm pretty much feeling like this hunt's over, because he definitely has seen me at least once or twice, but he wasn't sure because I wasn't moving much. I think he just saw the blob sitting there.
Yeah, he just seen something that he didn't.
Not a hen. So, I wasn't able to coax him in again in that original setup. But when he gobbled far off, I waited a while, and then I hit the call, and then nothing, and then he would gobble on his own, and he's still like 150, 200 yards off, way to the northeast now. He circled all the way back, and he's heading back to where he roosts and goes the opposite way across this big field. So I cut the distance. I sneak up as close as I feel like I can. I get to within like 20 yards of the field edge, and I have a hard wall of brush in front of me, and then it opens up before the field edge. So I have a really open section, and then everything else is really thick. The open section is to my right, really thick stuff to my left. Sit down against a tree, get all ready, hand on top of my gun to click the GoPro on when I see him so I can just get a quick shot. And I start using my mouth call a little bit, and he gobbles at like 50, 60, 50, 40, and all of a sudden I can see him in the field at about 35, and he's periscoping me again, and I see another redhead behind him. So he had met back up with his Jake that had been missing, and he's looking at me, looking back, looking at me, looking back. I'm not moving. This is a situation where I was thinking to myself, if I was Dylan Horner, I would have just blasted this fucking bird at this point. But I can't get it on camera good. I'm sitting there. He's strutting. He starts strutting towards the left in the thick stuff, and I can hear him at about 20 yards, but I can't see him. And I see a bird jump up on a log. Click my camera on. I see the screen go powering. I see the screen like turn on, and then instantly circle saying powering off, low battery. So my GoPro is officially dead at this point. I'm not going to get the hunt on film. And the bird that had jumped up on a log was a Jake, and the Jake's periscoping me. Him and the gobbler eventually get bored of that, walk out into the field. I wait about 20 minutes, stand up to take a look at my binoculars. And when I stand up and take a look at my binoculars, I can see him in the field at about 100 yards, just staring me down. So then they run off into the thick stuff. Hunt's over. Great encounter. Like I said, called him in 7-8 times. In range probably 4 times.
Just not
could have
quite.
shot him 3 times, but wasn't going to be on film if I did, and it would be a risked, rushed shot, which is just not what I'm in on with these turkeys. I've done it so many times with bad results. I just told myself I'm never doing that again.
Yeah, it goes on to what we said last podcast.
Yeah.
If you do hit them bad, there's no way to track them.
Nope.
They don't have a lot of blood. They can fly. They can.
Yep, it's a mess.
It's a whole mess.
It's a mess. So that day was over. The next day, it was pouring rain when I woke up. So I did not hunt the roost fly down. I made my way out to the blind about 9 a.m. Pouring rain. I'm out there sitting in the blind for a while. All I can hear is rain hitting the blind. I'm calling. And this blind is about 50 yards from where all this other stuff happened the day before. I'm calling. I don't even know if they can hear me. I happen to glance out through the brush because the blind's in like an alcove of a field, and then the field like goes around it. So I can see pretty good in one area, but like the rest of the field, I got to like look through the brush to see. And I happen to see this car speeding down the road, and then like it slows up, and then like it keeps going. And when it slows up, I see a bird run across in front of it. I'm like, son of a bitch, this gobbler just ran out in front of this car 250 yards away. So I get my video camera facing that direction. I had my real camera today and all my gear. I get my camera facing that direction, find him in the focus, hammer the call a few times, and at first I don't think he hears me, but then he does like a half strut and he starts looking my way, feeds for a little bit. I call really hard. His head's getting red, a little bit of half strut looking my way. He's 200 yards away at this point. And then I see the Jake come out of the woods and meet up with them. The sons of bitches are still together. And then they cross the road and start coming my way. Like they are just trucking my way, but they're coming in behind me. So and I only have tiny slits open in the blind at this point because I'm not letting this bird see me. So I rearrange all the camera stuff. I peek out the window as I'm doing that. And I only have literally a 4-inch like section of the corner of a window open. And I see both birds entering the woods at like 50-ish yards, heading directly to where they were the day before, where we went back and forth on all this thick stuff and the calling. So I'm pretty excited at this point. Get my camera ready. Do loud calling sequence, nothing. No loud calling sequence, nothing. Wait an hour and a half, nothing. Don't see nothing. Don't hear nothing. Nothing. Gone. Don't know where they went. I sneak around through the woods for a while.
A normal occurrence.
Yeah, sneak around through the woods, using the rain as a cover, glassing, nothing. I don't know where they go. It's done. They're gone. That day's over. A couple days later.
In reality, they're probably sitting under a tree somewhere.
Yeah.
Who knows what
staring at me again. I went to do an evening hunt a few days later. I had to watch Blair, some obligations and stuff. I wasn't able to get out for a couple days. Evening hunt, a couple days later, I'm driving down the road, getting ready to going past the field, this big 100+ acre field where my blind is, in this little alcove in this block of woods. And I'm looking as I'm driving by, and I'm looking. I'm like, something doesn't seem right. Slow down, pull with binoculars. Gobbler and Jake, 40 yards in front of my blind, just feeding out in the open. And there's no way for me to get to them really. So
that hunt's over.
I go a little bit past where I was, park my truck in a spot where they couldn't see me, climb up this ravine on this little finger that goes down into that block, and sit there and call for a while and glass, and just nothing. No responses. I hear some shots actually that night to the west where they were that weren't that far away. 3 shotgun shells. No, this was a couple nights ago. So I thought maybe they got shot at or something, or maybe I spooked them. I don't know. I was thinking all the worst, but they disappeared and I didn't see them. This morning, I figure the weather was good. It was the last morning I could hunt. This will be the last morning I can hunt of the season. There's still a little bit over a week and a half left, but I just got a lot of shit going on, so I'm not going to be able to hunt fly down again the rest of the year, I don't think. So this morning, unless I sneak out.
I don't know if I can either.
Unless I sneak out Mother's Day while everyone's still sleeping.
Yikes.
Yeah. I get out there this morning. I set up in the finger woods, not the block. The woods were kind of slow to get going, but then eventually there's a lot more vegetation on now than there was 10, 15 days ago, so the volume's a little bit harder. Things are a little bit harder to hear depth-wise. I'm sitting up there this morning, and about 20 minutes after legal light, I hear him fire up, or a bird fire up. And he gobbles pretty good for a while. Gobbling. There's a business down the street. They're using a tow motor and backing trucks up, so it's kind of, I can't hear perfectly. Got all that noise going on, but I can still hear the pop of his gobble every once in a while. They get done messing around with the business. It goes kind of quiet there. I do 3 or 4 calling sequences. I switched from my mouth call to a slate call. So I was using a slate call this morning. 3 or 4 calling sequences. I'm tucked away in this brush about 2 or 3. I'm off the edge of the field, kind of back a little bit in some really thick brush. I'd be able to get a shot in any direction if a bird came in, but I'm not able to see very far. So after about 45 minutes of silence, I slowly stand up and start scanning with my binoculars this 100-acre field that we keep talking about. And wouldn't you know it, I'm scanning. All of a sudden, bam, black spots. It's that gobbler and the Jake. About 150 yards away, periscoping me, just staring at me. And they had been coming in very silently, very slowly. If I would have stayed down there for another 20 minutes without moving, they probably would have got closer to range, and I would have been able to see them before they saw me. But once again, they had the upper hand. They saw me. They boogied. And that probably will conclude my dedicated turkey hunting for the year. I think I'll be still checking the area, watching the cameras.
Yeah,
I might
if he
drive
shows
by
up on
the
camera,
field.
if he shows up a lot in the afternoon, might be worth
like
a couple sits.
There's a chance I'm
Deer
going to
hunt
get
style.
out in some deer hunting style sits in the afternoon like I have been, but I've boogered these birds 3 or 4 times now, and I think the chance of me killing them at that farm are very slim. And like I said, there's 7 other guys besides myself that are potentially hunting these birds. So
If they haven't killed them yet, good luck to them as well, though.
yeah, I
because-
mean, good luck to anyone who has a chance of killing these birds. If you're listening to this podcast, that means there's 6 days left in the season. So good luck. They're tough. I don't think they're very, the one's a Jake. I think the other one's probably just a 2-year-old gobbler. Nothing crazy. He's not a wily old 5-year-old bird. That's for damn sure. Because he's too stupid for that, but he's still smart enough to beat me. So
He's smart enough to still be living.
yeah, he is still living. And that's about the recap of my turkey season. Any of you guys that listen to this podcast and say that I talk too much, I'm sorry for that last, I don't know, what was it, 30 minutes I just babbled on. But that was my story to tell of my season. And
We haven't done any solo podcasts yet, but this one was pretty close to it.
yeah, I mean, and that's not going to be, we're not quite done with it. We got a little bit more to chat about, but I'm not big on solo podcasts. I know there's a lot of guys out there that do them, one-man operations. They do a lot of solo podcasts.
It'd be hard to
potentially getting guests on from time to time.
It'd be hard to sit and stare at a camera and talk to yourself. That'd be tough. It's hard enough with the videos, let alone doing a podcast for an hour.
Yeah, and a lot of those guys that do solo podcasts are not videotaping it either.
Yeah.
I know that there are some that are, like Josh Talker, Beyond the Echo. That dude's, a lot of his podcasting is solo, shorter style podcasts, and his videotaping.
It would be easier if you were doing like tutorial type stuff.
Yeah.
Like if you're explaining why you're hunting this way or something, you can tell that to the camera.
Yeah, our hunting, our podcasts are just
Our
us,
entertainment pieces.
Yeah, just us fucking up the woods, telling sort of how we fuck up the woods. But the purpose of this podcast was turkey hunting struggles, trying to get a good video, doing all this stuff to do it right, do it the way I want, make a cinematic masterpiece. We have 2 good turkey hunting videos already this year, where birds were killed on camera and things were great. And the truth is, nobody cares.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about turkey hunting social media. I say that incorrectly. Nobody cares about turkey hunting videos on social media. They do care about turkey hunting.
At least smaller channel videos.
Yes.
There's very, very, very few smaller channels that are successful when it comes to having a good audience for their turkey hunting films.
Yeah. There is just not a ton. There's not as many people as in deer season that are just searching turkey hunting, clicking it on YouTube and watching the small channels that pop up. It's very obvious by everyone's lack of views this time of year. We're on multiple different, Facebook groups and stuff where we talk about hunting videos and all kinds of stuff related to this YouTube world we're in. And every day there's multiple posts. I made this video, perfect footage of a gobbler strutting around the decoy. He had 1 3/4 spurs, and I got slow motion kill shot, and it's got 17 impressions and 5 views. What is going on?
Well, I think a lot of that has to do with if you've seen one of these turkey hunts, you've seen them all.
Yeah, and
There's no uniqueness to the way these turkey hunts are being shown.
nope.
Call a turkey in, kill them. They all look the same. That's also a problem. They all look the same.
All turkeys look exactly the same. There was that White Tom's video that came out by The Given Right this week I watched, which was pretty cool because it was different. But for the most part, unless you have color-faced birds, which are rare, all turkeys look the same.
Yeah.
And there's only 3 ways to film turkey hunting. You have guys that are sitting with decoys, getting them in close,
And a
perfect
blind.
footage.
Most of them
Heartland
blind.
Bow Hunter, Drury Outdoors, all those guys, they're sitting there getting all these perfect videos and turkeys coming around decoys. Or you're running and gunning with a cheap GoPro on your gun or shoulder, and it's all calling and barely any video until you see a little red head pop out, a shot. Those videos seem to do a little bit better. People like the tactics type videos. And then the third kind is just your run and gun guys.
Your THP style.
Yeah.
Cameraman with the camcorder trying to film as much as he can, which those are entertaining. And some of the problem may be the sheer amount of footage that THP puts out. Like they're putting a turkey hunting video out almost every other day, every couple days. I can't watch that much, so why would the normal person watch that much plus the smaller channels?
Right. And
like that's just, they're just laying it out. I don't know how many episodes they had for this spring.
27.
It was a lot.
And here's the thing also, any of the big outfits that are doing deer hunting stuff, so Sequan, Bomars, Midwest Whitetail, THP, Chris B, all those big deer hunting guys, they have huge followings and everyone, you know, all these big fans, they all have a turkey series as well. So people are gravitating to that, but not a lot of guys are out there searching for that small time YouTuber making his own, you know, hunting the gobbler of the Okeechobee Ridge, you know, that kind of audience is just not there, which is unfortunate because I love making turkey hunting videos.
Well, also the time frame for these too. People are only watching turkey hunting videos for a solid month, maybe.
Yeah, a couple weeks. Then
Like they don't want to watch it into summer. Like by the time some of our stuff comes out, it's
Yep.
June. Who the hell wants to watch turkey hunting in June? You got too much stuff to do around.
I mean, people are watching turkey hunting a week or two before their season opens. They're going out, either killing a bird or not, and getting frustrated, and then they're just done with it until next year.
Yeah.
They like turkey hunting. They like seeing turkeys get killed, but they're not going to invest the time that they would into deer hunting. It's not a marathon
yeah,
for
and
this unique buck.
a multiple week series, it just isn't possible. Well, like our deer hunting stuff, we can release a video in August, September, November, December, January, all those months, and people are still interested in those videos in those months because they're still hunting deer. The deer season's so long.
Right. And every deer is unique for the most part, and especially if you're on some kind of buck that looks different or you're hunting some public land somewhere.
And the stories are usually cool.
There's more food available there when you kill a deer. There's just so many more things that are, you know, gravitating people towards deer hunting in the deer hunting world. It's a 5-to-1, 6-to-1, 7-to-1 ratio as compared to turkey hunting, I think. Yeah. I would say.
And when it comes to our videos and stuff, hugely more popular when it comes to deer hunting.
Oh, yeah. So we get 10, 15, 20 to 1 more views on deer hunting content than we do the turkey hunting content. Obviously, we don't do it for the views. The most people that are like the people that are watching turkey hunting are the ones that are successful on YouTube for the turkey hunting stuff are the people with their own personalities. Aaron Warbritons of the world, Zach Farrenbaugh, Chris B, Mike Reed. You're already watching them because they're your favorite influencer or deer hunter guy, and he's out there going to be hunting turkeys. You're going to check in and watch that one. But to be searching for guys hunting turkeys on their private farms or even in the public land, you know, Jacob, like for example, DO3 Outdoors, Jacob Emery, that dude's killing, I don't know, he kills 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 turkeys a spring all over the place. And his turkey videos definitely do better than ours, but they're not getting anywhere near what his deer hunting videos.
If he was doing that on the deer side of things, which he has, your coverage would be way bigger.
It just makes me a little bit sad because we started our teeth filming turkey hunts. Our very first hunt that we ever filmed together was a turkey hunt in 2006. It was a successful turkey hunt in 2006 that we filmed. You know, the beginning of our YouTube channel, 2009, all turkey hunting videos for the first year or two. We didn't really start getting into filming the deer hunting stuff till a little bit after that. You know, turkeys is what started this for us. It's a beautiful time of year. You can go out there and fish in the afternoons, hunt for mushrooms. There's all these things you can do in the spring. The footage is beautiful. I just like everything about spring turkey hunting, and it's unfortunate that it's not much of a draw for our
We're going to keep doing
channel.
it.
Oh yeah. I'm not stopping anything. I'm going to put together an entire episode of all these struggles that I've had and put it on the internet for no one to watch. But
if you're still listening, go back and watch Danny Svoboda's video.
Yep. A Boy's First Bird.
It's a pretty cool video.
I mentioned earlier, we have 2 episodes out for this year, turkey hunting wise. Ethan's bird and A Boy's First Bird. Both videos are exactly perfect what you could ask for. One is calling in a bird from miles away, shooting with a 410. The other one is having a group of birds work in, strut around the decoy, kill with the 8.7 or with the 590, Mossberg 590. And it's the way turkey hunting should be. Both videos are great. I liked putting them together. The guys that did a great job filming, so it wasn't hard for me to do. They're just very enjoyable.
Yeah, we'll probably have one more out. You said with your struggles.
Yeah, I mean,
We filmed a
I was
bunch of
trying to
stuff.
get you guys to go to Pennsylvania next weekend, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen.
Nah,
So
probably not.
our turkey hunting content's probably coming to a close for the year here with one more episode. If I can pull off some magic, that'd be great, but I don't have a lot of faith that I'm going to be able to do that. But yeah.
Yeah, thanks for sticking around with us today. It's a quick one on this dreary Thursday afternoon.
Yeah, thanks for listening to me talk about my rambles and then rant about how no one cares. But it is a very common topic on the social right now. If you're following any of the turkey hunting pages, a lot of people bitching about lack of birds, why they don't get any recognition for what they're doing, this, that, and the other.
Public land struggles.
A lot of conversation about spot burning going on right now because I've seen some of the groups have been, the guys like to take that picture in front of the sign of the WMA or the National Forest that they're in, and it's pissing off another group of people. And I'm probably on the train of thought of we shouldn't be doing that, but
Yeah, because when there's a WMA that's maybe 900 acres, 700 acres, 2,000 acres, there's only so many
Right.
turkeys that can
Yeah.
hold.
Yeah.
You get 10 turkey hunters that flock to there in a weekend. They could wipe it all out or push all the turkeys out of there, ruin everybody's hunting.
yeah. So please
That's all it
don't,
takes.
please don't spot burn. But if you like watching turkey hunting videos, go check out your small YouTubers. The ending part of this conversation, this podcast is all about helping out those small YouTubers, small podcasts, guys trying to get off the ground. They're putting in a lot of work for their turkey hunting videos, and they deserve to be seen.
Yeah, and turkey hunting is the grind. You can't just go out and sit in the deer stand after work. You have to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, go to your spot.
Yeah, I might go take a nap after this, actually, because 4 o'clock in the morning is early for me. That's early for me.
But, all right, Deer Shot Podcast number
94.
94. And we are out.
Out.